What is up, guys, and welcome back once again to another episode of the Ebby Space Agency journey here on Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. We're here for episode number 23 then, after finishing episode number 22, having set off our crew en route to Duna. That's right, the Duna 1 crew has finally set off for the Red Planet. But for now, we do have some business to take care of in a very sort of murky-looking KSC at the moment. So first and foremost, we're going to take some more pictures with our space telescope. They're easy wins, and yeah, fairly quick to do as well. As we pan over to the space telescope now and look at it, taking a picture of one of those. Now we're going to have a look at Pol, one of the furthest moons around the Joule system. Yeah, we get quite a good chunk of science for that as well, before we then head back to mission control, and we get the offer for a contract to recover another Kerbal from orbit. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and choose our craft and launch that now. Rendezvous straight away. Okay, right. And yeet. Oh, this is how basic this thing is. It doesn't even have prograde or retrograde hold on the SOS. SAS even. SOS is what most of my Kerbals send. So yeah, the launch goes fairly well. We've chosen the unplanned rescue probe, and we have we have a little bit of self-awareness on the ascent there, as just how broken our space program can be sometimes. We do a nice little flick to push the boosters away from the craft as well. That was a quirk of sort of our earlier designs. In sort of the history of the space agency, before we could have sort of the like, I want to say the radial decouplers, but the ones that have the struts, like they put the booster at a bit of a distance. You know what I'm on about. The ones that we have on this thing obviously hold everything quite flush to the main body, so we have to flick them out a little bit just to make sure that they get clear. You might have seen there as well, we set our launch window up to be just a little, well, basically as the rescuee needed to was passing over. So we set the rendezvous up quite quickly. I can tell you we managed to complete the mission in less than an orbit, so quite happy with that. And yeah, Enbus Kerman then apparently flew his fighter jet up just a little bit too high and needed help getting back down again. So yeah, he hops in, and we then turn tail and start burning back towards the ground. You see there, yeah, we've been in orbit. Well, we've been in space for around about 50 minutes at this point. Yeah, nice simple re-entry, nothing too crazy, and a quick recovery. However, Enbus is he is not a usable Kerbal. He is only a civil servant, and therefore he is quickly released back to his own agency. Taken, yeah, you see there, we get him out of here. We only utilize keep the Kerbals we can utilize, right? So yeah, he gets to go home straight away. We do have some science to spend though, so we go ahead and spend it on the metamaterials tab in the community tech tree there, before heading over to the tracking station, as we have a craft en route to Duna that needs to make a quick course correction. This is just to bring the approach into Duna the appropriate altitude that we want. You see there, nice and low. Again, just so that we can circularize. We need to make sure that all of our approaches are quite low, because Ike is a bit of a menace, really. Yeah, it's not. It is very, very easy to get caught by Ike and either flung out of the Duna system or flung into the surface. So doing all of our circularization nice and low, so we miss its sphere of influence, is pretty crucial. We do the same then for the rover base that's currently en route, and yeah, that is then all of our crafts on the correct course. So now there's nothing really left to do. There's no other missions planned, so we go ahead and hit that time warp button to head over towards Duna. You see it there approaching in the distance, and you see Ike circling around it. It's exciting times, guys. We are now just days away from the crew arriving at Duna. Well, I say that they're about 200 days away, but you know we don't have a lot planned between then and now, so it's still exciting times. We're getting the first parts of the infrastructure in place. We check the connectivity of the satellite, and we noticed that somehow it can fire signals through rock. We're gonna assume that it was bouncing it, sort of curving it around the atmosphere, or something similar. But yeah, we retain signal. We make sure that the altitude is low enough that we don't get interfered with from Ike, and then that is the relay sat in position. Back on a different planet to, well, a different body to Kerbin, but somewhat closer to home, we take a quick look at the Minmas mining base. The reason for that is it is now time to think about rotating the crew. That's it. It's been, if you can't believe it, guys, it's already been a year in game since those Kerbals set off on their mission to man that mining base. And it's now time to bring them home. So you see here, we are quickly just designing a quick crew transfer ship, because, well, the last time we sent a a space plane, we made it back with about 2 meters per second, and we had to ditch it in the ocean. So maybe we'll design, we'll use this just for now, just to make sure that we do actually recover it home in the right place. We stick a Scuff of Dreams booster on the bottom there, so nice and reusable, and we fly off into the sky. Again, nothing too crazy with the takeoff. We get ourselves nice and circularized here before then heading off towards Minmas. Decoupling we decouple the booster. That's going to go ahead and land on the surface. Splash us down not too far from the KSC, actually. We haven't quite got the hang of aiming this thing so that we can land it back at the KSC. That is definitely something I want to look into in the future, but for now, we just don't have the skill level, to be honest. So we just settle ourselves for watching it splash down. Back on board with the crew transfer, then we have Valentina, Steldrin, Chad Pond, who I believe is a new hire, but look at that mustache. The man just bleeds aura, right? And I believe we've got I want to say Very and someone, I can't remember the whole crew roster. We're about to find out though, guys, right? But yeah, Steldrin hops into the base, and then we start performing the crew transfer. We end up doing pretty much just a 1-for-1 swap on each crew member here. So Cloudtop's obviously returned. Tradpon heads in, and we've got Tamble. So we're swapping out from an all-female crew here to a bit of a mixed gender. Just that's the way that the crew rosters worked out on this attempt, this rotation, I guess. But yeah, we start moving these guys all in, and eventually the transfer is done, and the outgoing crew takes over the transfer ship and takes off, going for home. You see there, we've got a nice sort of wide shot for the re-entry. That Firefly mod absolutely cooks, guys. I'm not gonna lie. If your computer can handle it, please download it, because it is great. Looking a bit further out, then we've switched over the crew rotation, and we're back in interplanetary space, and now in Duna sphere, the Duna sphere of influence, as the it's now time for the rover base to make its grand entrance into the theater of operations. We had a bit of a crazy deployment method, guys, for this. I'm going to show you it in real time in a second, but we decouple the drivetrain stage, and we inflate the heat shield. And you might notice that obviously everything's very tightly packed into the rocket here, right? So you might be worried, for reasonable reasons, that things might collide. We did have a plan to overcome this, and I'm going to show you how that went in real time, because it's just easier to show you. I don't know how successful we're going to be, but we're going to go for it. The answer is not very. Holy crap. gear. So that's something I'd needed to do. It's fine. We'll call this a we'll call this a practice run. Okay, cool. Right. What about you? You should also be going, please. You know what? We absolutely take that. What the hell blew up? I'm assuming it was the, I'm hoping, I'm really, really hoping here, it was the, lander that blew up. All the scientific experiments seem to be fine. The arm seems to be fine. We might have pulled it off, you know. So, yeah, it was a very unorthodox method of separation from the from the landing stage. There was a logical reason for it, and that was the way that we packed this stuff in. We obviously had to elevate one of the rovers on some like a decoupler that was like elevated basically, and yeah, I'm going to completely talk over this this coupling on Duna, but yeah, essentially we had to like try and spin and use, I want to say, centripetal force to try and pull the rover parts away from each other, because the wheels were right next to each other. There was a lot of components very packed very tightly in. However, basically, because that inflatable heat shield had such a high level of drag, it slowed it down to the point where it broke parts of the landing stage. So thankfully, nothing on the rovers broke. But yeah, it was a bit wild. But yeah, guys, we have now landed the rover on the surface of Duna. It's exciting times. We quickly jumped over there to complete the mission to look at Preax with the space telescope, and we're just spending the science points that we accrued from that there. Before we're then going to very quickly also take the node for nuclear generators, so we can start using them potentially in future designs. But yeah, that was like I said, that was a bit wild with the rover, but we finally have it on the surface of Duna, all hooked up and ready to go. It's just waiting for this ship here that we are focusing on now to make its arrival, which it is just doing. It has just crossed that threshold into the sphere of influence of Duna, and it's about time to hit the brakes. It's a big day. You know, Bill, Bob, and Jeb looking at the rather small windows on that control module next to those inflatable habitation modules at the rapidly approaching. I keep calling it the red planet. It's more of a brown color, right? But yeah, the foreign body of Duna rapidly approaching before we fire the engines up and make our capture burn. Obviously, because we're flying past Duna, we can't necessarily do this burn in several stages, so instead we just have to kind of do it in one. We do kind of point radial in at one point to try and keep the eccentricity like down, and yeah, we end up circularizing. So here we are, guys. We have arrived in orbit of Duna. We take a moment then to rebalance some of the life support. Essentially what we're doing here is just moving some of the life support over from the lander stage over from the to the lander stage from the main ship, so that we've got as much life support on that lander as possible before we then uncouple and we start beginning our descent. And yeah, with a quick plane change maneuver, everyone in mission control back in Kerbin will be waiting on the edge of their seats to hear back of the success, or, well, hopefully not, failure of the mission. We switch the fuel pumps on, we make sure the staging's all correct, and we make our plane change maneuver. Firing away from the Duna 1, the Duna 1 lander is now en route to the surface of the brown planet. You see there with a red aiming marker. We're only sort of aiming in the vicinity of the rover base. Jeb, Bill, and Bob obviously are focusing just on getting down safely. They pull the solar panels in to make sure they're not ripped off during the descent through the atmosphere. Duna's atmosphere is very thin, but it's not thin enough to negate the damage done to fragile systems such as that. And yeah, a couple of course corrections en route before we then hit the brakes and pull the chutes. And yeah, guys, we successfully deploy the parachutes and are in the process of just floating on down to the surface. And yeah, well, this is all pretty much in the hands of the parachutes. Jeb does have to fire the engines a little bit just to slow ourselves down, so that we don't bounce or anything like that. And yeah, it is. They are only moments away then from landing on the surface of Duna.
40.
Oh, it's target. Damn it.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Stay. Oh, Christ. Spring damper auto. Spring needs to be as strong as possible. Same with the damper. We're on parallax. We're on some rocks at the minute. Okay. And, yeah, here we are, guys. We had to do a little bit of shenanigans with the landing gear, but we are now officially on the surface of Duna. We've not quite put boots on the ground, but they are only moments away. And now the rover, with its destination transmitted to it, is going to set off in to rendezvous with the lander. We had the parallax settings on quite high at the time, so we kind of had to play a bit of dodge the pebble with the rover. But I mean, it showcases the bending mechanics of that trailer hitch quite nicely, I think. And eventually, we make it up the hill to the lander. So now that Bill, Bob, and Jeb have seen their new home arrive next to them, they are going to start hopping out, starting with Jebediah. He's going to be the first Kerbal to set foot on a planet that is not Kerbin, and it is a big, big day for all Kerbal kind. He does a celebratory jump, and yeah, runs off to quickly go and plant a flag to commemorate the occasion. And of course, if we had these three on this mission, it was always going to be these guys landing first, right? We named it the Medic 1 landing site after the chat member One-Eyed Medic. He was on board the entire time, so we named it in commemoration. But yeah, Jeb places that flag down, grabs one of the ladders but realizes he's grabbed one on the wrong side, and instead grabs the correct ladder on the other side, the one that actually reaches out over the vehicle's wheels. Forgets how to climb for a while. We can blame that on the microgravity / zero gravity that he's been in for the last however many hundreds of days, and yes, takes up his seat in the command cell, the cockpit, whatever you want to call it, the driver's seat. Whereas we get Bill and Bob to jump into the crew cabins and claim their own bed spaces. We have 3 crew cabins, which means these guys pretty much each get their own room on board the rover base. But Bill, as the engineer, is going to quickly jump into the co-pilot seat just to make sure that all the engineering systems on board are functional. as we zoom out there and we have a look at the scale of where we are. We are but a speck on an otherwise desolate wasteland. And yeah, well, this wasteland is going to be their home for the next, I think, around about a year. But they waste no time in going off and exploring. Now, we did have a mission to go and collect, I think it was Duna stone, which we realized was the closest place that we could gather it was in the Midland Canyon, right? Which is about 130 odd kilometers away. So the fact that we're in a rover base, we basically we got to drive there. We can't take off and land there again because we don't have the fuel. We'd never get back. So they begin the very, very long, painstaking drive to that site. But the sun starts getting a bit low in the sky, and well, they decide to make camp for the night. And before the sun completely disappears and they lose all daylight, Bill and Bob, in just a moment, are going to go ahead and set up the surface experiment packages, right? So here's Bill, just setting up all the engineering equipment, all the solar panels, the communications, the control station, all that good stuff. And yeah, he's busy running around placing all those. Once he's done his side of the job, he then hops back in to the control to the crew module that he's called his own, right in the middle of the rover base. And then it is Bob's turn to jump out. So you see there, he's just placing all the scientific experiments in and around the control station, so that yeah, they can start plugging away, performing those science experiments while they're on their road trip. He decides to quickly play a game of golf, and decides to start running all the atmosphere scans and the science experiments and get all the data for this specific biome of Duna, before then going ahead and storing all the information in the lab to start working on, while Jeb drives them on their fairly large journey ahead of them. Obviously, guys, yeah, 130 kilometers in real time is probably going to be on like roads and stuff. Doesn't take too long, but you got to remember this is firstly, this is a Kerbal Space Program. We are we're off-road, and we have to play dodge the pebble because of parallax. So it's going to take these guys a long time to get there. So yeah. But Bob manages to get himself some data, some work to keep him occupied during the road trip. And that is where they are going to spend the night, guys. They quickly sort of get themselves set out. We grab all the experiments and store the data before then, obviously, go into their respective areas of the base. Bill is taking a quick snooze. Bob's working through the data, and Jeb is reading his comic books in the cockpit there. But that is where we're going to leave off on this episode, guys. So we officially have now got Kerbals on Duna. They've got a large trip ahead of them to move across the surface of the brown planet. And yeah, it's been a momentous day for sure. Just going to touch, I do love the, I'm not sure if it's parallax that puts them on, but the actual footprints where you can see your Kerbals have been running around, I think that's a phenomenal touch by whatever mod it is or DLC that adds that. I think it's great. Such a small detail that adds a bit of life to wherever you're camping out, right? But yeah, guys, that is the end of this episode. It's been great fun to record, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Do leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But for now, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.